everybody to our event about biotensegrity and horses. I'm Maren Diehl from Germany, horse trainer, horse riding instructor, and in times of Corona producing coaching videos and how a horse works videos. Since 2014 I'm researching biotensegrity and principles of biotensegrity in horses. In 2014 I first made contact with Steve Levin by email, and this was the beginning of a very long journey. In 2018 and 19 I lectured about horses and biotensegrity during the Biotensegrity Interest Group meeting in Belgium, in Ghent, and in 2016 my book about biotensegrity has been published in German, and 3 years later in 2019 in English language too. Inspired by Steve Levin's statement that I am a true scientist, and by Susan Lowell de Solásano's compliment that I have the best understanding of biotensegrity she knows of, although I'm not quite sure about the reference group. I try to combine my knowledge about principles of biotensegrity with my experiences in horse training and martial arts. Because I'm not a native English speaker, I took this little video, so everything is right for you. This video is not about horse training or training methods or riding styles or therapies. It's just about biotensegrity. What I talk to you about is tensegrity models and tensegral principles, and I will talk about biotensegrity and the difference between biotensegrity and inanimate models, and I will show you the role the lumbosacral joint plays in the biotensegral structure of the horse. Let's start with the models. I hope that every one of you has a model at hand, because these models are very important for your understanding of tensegrity. These models show and let you feel the physics of tensegrity. They let you see and feel the reactions of tensegral structures, and you feel the force distribution in the structure throughout the whole model. And what you feel here you can't learn by reading a book or a paper or by watching a video. It's really important to get a model. If you don't have one, and if you can't buy one, just build one. It's not that complicated, because this one is made of pens and some cord and some elastics, and it is not very strong, but it will do the trick to let you feel what it is about. What makes a proper model? A proper model, this one is an icosahedron with 6 sticks and some cord. The most important thing is that the sticks don't touch each other and that there is enough tension in the system to prevent the sticks from touching each other. This one looks good. I think when you made it here, you already know about tensegrity. So I will make this very short. Any energy impact is distributed throughout the whole model, and the forces are the same everywhere in the model. The sticks are compression elements and the chords are tension elements. And if you are really good at building models, you can build a tensegrity column, something like this, and very small and very strong. And if you did this, and there are people who have done this, you can replace every stick and every chord by such a tensegrity column, and this tensegrity column will act as its position in the model demands. So it is not made as a compression element, it's not made as a tension element, although you can tune them a little bit for their job. They just react to the job they get. Another point that is very important for horse training is that a tensegral structure doesn't have to be symmetric to be a tensegral structure. So this one has nearly no symmetry. It once had some, but it's not there any longer. And it's still a tensegrity model. And it works as a tensegrity model, although the asymmetry makes it stronger to the one direction and weaker to another direction. Tensegrity is not about sticks and chords. Tensegrity is about volume, it is about force distribution, it's about reaction, and it is very important about behavior. So what finally makes a tensegral structure is its behavior and its interaction with the environment. You can see such a model as the cube or the acting force in a free body diagram. But the structure itself doesn't follow these principles, it follows the principles of tensegrity. So don't mix up what happens in a tensegral structure with what does a tensegral structure do in a certain setting. Of course, this model doesn't represent a horse. It's not the model of a horse's body. But these models can show and let you feel the principles of tensegrity you will also find in horses. So if this one is not the body, and this is not, and these are not the body, what's the body like? And here it comes to biotensegrity and its difference to inanimate structures. The difference between tensegrity and biotensegrity is the bio, life. Because life is always acting and interacting, and life is very complex. Every biotensegral structure, every living being outscores any man-made machine not only by the number of parts, but by the number of actions, reactions, and interactions. So artificial intelligence wouldn't be able to solve problems the way a biotensegral structure does, because there is an immanent intelligence in biotensegral structures. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe created the term morphology, and it is Greek, and you could translate it as the wisdom of the structure. That would be one possible translation. So the wisdom of the structure enables a living being to make decisions in a complexity and speed a man-made machine couldn't. A living being, a biotensegral structure, speeds up when the number of problems rises, and an artificial intelligence slows down when the number of problems rises. That's one big difference. The intentions of a living being are always to interact with the environment, to survive, to protect itself, and to do everything in the most energy efficient way. Okay, let's make it easy again. This is a 50-gram tensegrity model, and I will show you how strong and loadable it is. So let's have a look at the video. This is our 50-gram model on a kitchen scale with a range up to 2.5 kilograms. A plate for a safe base for the flour packs. And number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4, and the model tries to jump away under the load, but I don't let it. And pack number 5. So we had 5,000 grams on a 50-gram model. And the model didn't change its shape permanently. It's the same as before. Would you believe that this works with a broken stick? It does. You see here that this stick is made of 2 sticks that are held together by compression and nothing else. This is the model from the video. So this model is loadable up to 5 kilograms even with a broken stick. I will show you once. So, what happened? What is it now? Has it lost its tensegrity? No. It is still a tensegrity model, but it is a broken tensegrity model that has lost most of its loadability and many of its functions, because a true tensegrity model doesn't have open ends. But you can still load it. Load it in the same position as before. It collapses at a weight of a little bit more than 1 kilogram. Now let's go on with the position of the lumbosacral joint in the tensegral structure of the horse's body. The lumbosacral joint is the connection between the sacral bone and the spine. The spine has to distribute the propulsion coming from the hind. The spine has to act as one, so the whole horse can act as one and in one time. The sacral bone and the spine are arranged in a way that they are able to act as one compression element during the propulsion phase of the hind. They let go during the suspension phase for a wider range of motion, for changing gaits, for changing speed and direction. I usually explain positive and negative motion patterns based on the propulsion from the hind. If there is any propulsion, no matter how few, there are positive motion patterns, while backwards traction of the hind results in negative motion patterns as shown in the pictures. In positive motion patterns, the lumbosacral joint is engaged in a way that the sacral bone and the rest of the spine act as one tensegral column, as one compression element throughout the whole propulsion phase of the hind. In negative motion patterns, the lumbosacral joint is sort of open. It is disengaged and there is no force fit between the sacral bone and the lumbosacral spine. In that state, the lumbosacral joint can't distribute the forces from the hind. This is, in a nutshell, the result of my studies so far. But what does that mean in terms of biotensegrity? In positive motion pattern, the engaged lumbosacral joint lets the sacral bone and the rest of the spine act as one compression element. In the negative motion patterns, there are two parts now, and so there can happen different things. Viewed through the lens of biotensegral principles, there might be two compression elements touching each other. What would be wrong if we follow tensegral principles? The other possibility is that fascia adds a tension element and the two compression elements now distribute the forces in different directions. That affects, due to the key position of the lumbosacral joint in the horse's tensegral structure, nearly all other body parts of the horse and their positions and force directions. There is sort of a general phase change in the horse's body as soon as the tensegral column of the spine breaks up into two compression elements and one tension element. My thought was that we get a broken tensegrity model or a broken horse as soon as one compression element splits in two and the parts are functionally disconnected under load. The horse with the unengaged lumbosacral joint didn't lose its tensegrity, but it is just a broken biotensegral structure that has lost most of its functionality, loadability and resilience. To my opinion, we have to make a decision which horse we work with, which horse we train and treat. The broken one or the unbroken one. My experiences with the lumbosacral joint and its different states came first, and biotensegrity added the theoretical underpinning for my insights. But in the first place, it was my experience that led me there. We have the choice between two models of a horse that both can be explained by the principles of biotensegrity. There is not one biotensegral horse and a biomechanical horse. All horses can be explained by the principles of biotensegrity. As Susan says, Biotensegrity offers the theoretical underpinning for why whatever works, and why whatever doesn't work. There are so many different horses from different breeds, from different riding styles, but their bodies follow the same principles of biotensegrity. But how does the body know these principles? That's why there are principles. They have always been there, waiting for someone to put them in words. So thanks to Steve Levin, who started this great project. For every horse, it makes a big difference whether it is allowed to act with engaged and integrated lumbosacral joint, or if it is sort of disarmed by an unengaged lumbosacral joint. Maybe it is easier to handle a horse that is not that strong, but to my opinion, that's not fair. Thank you for listening, and I'm looking forward to learn about how biotensegrity informed your work with horses. Thank you.